You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, this is Jeff Belanger, author, researcher for Ghost Adventures, host of New England Legends, and of course, beer drinker. And you're listening to PSH Radio with Sam and Carl on the Parasearch Network. They're broadcasting to you from Old England. You can tell by the accents.
Good evening, guys. We are obviously here again, and obviously I am joined by Carl again this week. Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, Sam. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Bit rushed this evening because I've only just got in from work. But I'm here for the show, which is good.
All right, working and other stuff. You know how it
is. Exactly. But it's Thursday night. It's 9 o'clock. It's PSH Radio. So let's crack on and do this.
Okay, so obviously tonight's guest, which we shall obviously introduce evening, is Bill. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening. How are you? Oh, excuse the thunder boom.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm sitting here and looking forward to chatting with you and Carl.
Cool. So obviously we'll go the general question we always ask: who we get on if people don't.
Well, when I was in high school, Ed and Lorraine Warren were on a case in my area. And it happened to be the next door neighbor to a good friend of mine that I was growing up with. And, it made the local newspapers and there were droves of people coming by. And, that was in the late 70s. So, the paranormal wasn't as mainstream as it is. And people were calling them freaks and weirdos and all that stuff. And I was like, wow, this is really intriguing. And I grew up always, reading different magazines and stories of the paranormal and Hanser's book and just trying to get all this knowledge. And so it was really cool to have something happen that close to me. And then years later I had a few of my own paranormal experiences and that I was living in, and I was like, this is it. And been doing it ever since. So since 1978, yes, I'm old. I'm older than dirt. And having a blast. And right now I'm with Kris and my wife and Amy Green, who is one of our investigators. And we're out in our RV for a 5-month trip, a paranormal road trip. And right now we're at Salt Fork, outside of Salt Fork State Park in Kimbolton, Ohio, looking for the elusive Bigfoot.
Yes, because I was watching an interview last night with Mark on haunted road trips from Salem, and he was talking about Bigfoot, and I think you were watching it as well.
Yes, I was.
The Bigfoot or the crypto side of it, of the paranormal field, is sort of becoming more and more mainstream now. It's a bit like how ghost hunting used to be. It used to be you don't talk about that, you don't talk about that. But crypto has sort of progressed more, and a lot of more people are looking, like in the paranormal field, for ghosts and whatever. They're starting to investigate cryptos, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it. So, So you're on a 5-month road trip. This is you're in Ohio, which is a place where there's reports of Bigfoot. So do you want to give our lovely listeners a bit of a synopsis of why you chose this as one of your locations on your road trip?
Actually, we chose the location because of the nature that was here. There was a few abandoned buildings that we had read about and some stories that we read about that we were really interested in the ghost side of things. And, one thing that we do is we speak to the locals and, they're like, you're a paranormal investigator? Yeah. Are you here about Grassman? Because they call him Grassman here. And I'm like, they're like, oh yeah, Bigfoot, the ghost in the trees right down here. Here's the trail. This is where he was seen. I'm like, I had no idea. So like we shifted gears a little bit, and started, we did some hikes out where on this one road. Amy, the second night we were here, which was prompted us to start asking questions more on the Bigfoot and crypto side, was Amy heard some grunting and growling Saturday evening while she was sitting out where I am right now. And we were like, went in, talked to the locals, which, we're 30 minutes from a grocery store where we are. We're in the middle of nowhere, and it's beautiful, and we're having a great time. But, if we could, if we find something, it'd be great. But it was just something that, hey, we're here, let's do it. Mothman is another big, so there's a lot of crypto in this area. Mothman is another creature that has been seen in this area. So, we're out, we're trying to get the whole experience before we move on to Kentucky and Mid-South.
Okay, yeah, because this is the thing that fascinates me, and I've looked at it and researched it in a way. It's, you look at the different types of cryptos. Obviously, you mentioned Mothman, and I've got a very good friend who we've interviewed in the past, who investigates the Mothman sighting from Chicago all over, and she's been on the show. But when it comes to Bigfoot, or whatever, depending on which state, because you find most states have a different name from it for what they see, like the stink man or whatever in Florida, to obviously what you just said, and the Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah, no, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti.
Yeah. Do you think it's the same creature?
I think so. I mean, the descriptions all are very similar, and even if you look into, like, we're heading, we'll be in Vermont in July, and we're going with Katie Elizabeth to look for Champ again, which was something else that we always wanted to do and we're involved in, and we have a couple haunted locations that we're doing out there. But you when you get into the research and you start looking in the folklore and Native American stories and things like that, they've all had drawings that are all very, very similar to, what, Sasquatch is known as, or Bigfoot. When we're down in, we just came up from New Orleans through Georgia, Tennessee, they call him Booger down there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And, how are we to say that, we're the only creature that inhabits this earth that walks upright on 2 feet?
Absolutely.
So, if we see them, hey, that's...
You've just said that obviously you started, and so do you want to tell us a little bit about your road trip initially? So where, obviously, did you start from where you come from and then just come around and you pick these locations like through New Orleans, through the South, and then up?
Well, we started out in New Orleans where we picked up Amy Green. Amy now moved to Pennsylvania. So we went from New Orleans up through Alabama and Tennessee and West Virginia, Alabama, all the way back up to Pennsylvania. And then we spent a week in Pennsylvania getting things ready and geared up in the camper, and then left with the camper, Pennsylvania into Ohio. So we're in Ohio until Saturday. Sunday, we're moving into Kentucky, where we're going to join a whole bunch of people down at Mid-South in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. And we got the Bourbon Trail, and there's a lot of haunted history, a lot of Civil War history and things like that we're going to hit while we're down there. And then from there, we're going to Vermont. From Vermont, we're going to Virginia, where we're going to be at the Patrick Henry's plantation, and doing an investigation down there. And then from there, we're going to Gettysburg.
Oh, that's a place. That is seriously a place. We
love Gettysburg. So we'll be in Gettysburg for a week, and then to Vermont, New York. We're going to New York. We'll be going to Iron Island Museum out there and investigating that for several days. And then from there, we'll be going to Gasport, New York, to the Greystone Manor.
And we'll
We'll be there for a few days and then heading on our trek to Arizona, where we're going to be joining up with J. and Marie Yates and Michelle LeBaron. And
when are you in Arizona?
We're going to be at Vulture City Mine.
Okay, cool. No. When what type of year?
That'll be the end of September.
Well, Arizona's not far from Vegas.
No, and then we do go.
And,
just throwing it out there. There's a certain two people that you might be talking about. They're going to be in Vegas.
We have a couple of things lined up in Nevada. Unfortunately, not Vegas. This is strictly haunted. This is strictly a paranormal trip.
We are doing. Which we obviously we did last year, obviously for MJ, as you know MJ very well as well as
yes.
yourself. We were at their wedding last year and we had a great time. But this time we are doing more of the stuff that we couldn't do when we were obviously going to a wedding. So we're doing haunted stuff. We've got access to a couple of haunted locations. We're going to go up to Goldfield. We're going to go up to the Clown Motel, and then I'm going to veg out and be a complete geek and do the Area 51 stuff and all that sort of stuff. So if you're down there from the 1st to the 10th, pop over to Vegas. We'll have a drink and we'll see if we can do something.
We will. Well, we're in between there. We're in Mattoon, Illinois, where they're doing Silcon, and then from there we're going to Missouri to Sister's Tea House, which is the 13th of September, and then from Missouri we're heading out from Sister's Tea House, which I cannot wait to get there. I was really excited about it when I did the research on it and we got invited to come down there. They finally hooked up some night cameras, for security reasons in the building, because it is a restaurant that's open. And the second night that they had it, they caught a full body apparition that they sent to me, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Okay.
And so we're excited about going out there.
Sounds like you for this 5-month road trip, and I wish I was stowed away in the back of that RV, because I would love to be on that 5-month road trip with you guys.
You could come with us anytime you want, Carl.
Don't worry. There are ideas in my head where I will basically use and abuse the people I've met over the years, and use them for free accommodation or whatever investigations. So watch out next year. I could be getting in contact with you. But let's go back to the paranormal side of it. Is obviously I met you for the first time in Salem.
Yes.
Back in April, and completely and utterly blown away by SalemCon, because that was really obviously I've been doing this for a long, long time. Not as long as you. I'm still as old as dirt, but I'm not as old as the dirt you stand on. But I've been doing it in the UK for a long, long time. And I've got so many friends, so many acquaintances over in the States. And when MJ went and said, right, I'm going to be at Salem, I'm going to be doing a speech, I went, it's my birthday, I'm coming. I don't care, I'm there. And I was completely blown away by, one, the convention itself that Mark put on, because that is anybody that ever, if somebody finally ties that man down and tells us there's going to be a Salem next year, Salem 6, you have to be there, because it's the most amazing convention at the most amazing place. But I also found that everybody, it was like going into family. And we talk a lot about on the show about family being part of Sage and all this sort of stuff. It's Sage. But it was like going back. It was like family. Everybody's so friendly. Yourself and everybody I met and the stuff they did for me and everything like that. And it was just like, I'm a Brit. I'm the only Brit there technically, because, okay, MJ lives in the UK, but technically she's not a Brit. She's South African. I'm the only Brit. So I'm claiming that for it. And sorry, MJ. That was the only Brit. But you guys just... I was slightly nervous when I was flying out, because I didn't know how... Because I'd never experienced anything like a convention. So I did a couple of Comic Cons, but that's just people dressing up as Batman and Superman. So I'd never experienced a paranormal convention out in the States, and it was amazing. And you and yourself. And the tailgate parties we had, and the chats we had, and all that sort of stuff. It was amazing. So, how this one question I meant to ask you while I was out in Salem: how many years have you been doing Salem?
We were there for the first and second year, and then we were tied up moving first around, and then came back again because Mark said this was going to be the end.
It keeps saying
that. And you know, when we were leaving, you know, and we were all hugging, and you know, it's very emotional, and it is a family. And I said, this is like the Kiss farewell tour. You know, Salem Con is you know, this is the end, and then every year it comes back. So it's kind of like Kiss in their farewell tours, or Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
I know I had a few drinks at Salem. I'm not as bad as Ozzy Osbourne. but you said you hit the nail on the head when you said it was when obviously the convention was amazing, and we had such a good laugh and amazing speakers, amazing staff, chats. It was so laid back, and it was like a family. But as you said, once it finished, it was those two or 3 days of the wind down, and then basically people leaving, and it was very emotional. I was like, I didn't expect to like being a newbie. I was like, oh God, I've just met you for the first time, but and that's I think what Mark has put on, and that's why I think that there is hope in this field. When you
know, that's I will say this: Salem Con is like the mecca of everybody who goes. There's no ego. There's no none of that bullshit.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
No, you can
everybody.
It's English radio. You can swear what you like.
Okay. Everybody gets. Well, my radio show, everybody swears anyhow. But you know, it's so cool. Kris gets a gold star if she doesn't say the F word throughout the show. It's only ever happened once. But you know, going there, it's just, you know, just everybody like, you know, and Scott, and like when we got there, it's like, you gotta meet Carl. You know,
the amount of people I met, that was the crazy thing. The amount of people went, you're Carl, oh my God. And I'm like, okay.
You were the big man on campus.
No. I was very humbled to be there. You guys made that trip probably one of the most amazing.
But that's, you know, that's what it's all about. Everybody gets together, has a good time. I mean, we share ideas, we share concepts, we sit down and we chat, and that's what conventions should be like.
Exactly.
And you know, it's always been like that. And you know, it's, you know, we're humbled when we're there and people come up to us and like, oh my gosh, we want to meet you and talk to you and do this stuff. And it's like, you know, we're just like you. You know, this is just what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, we enjoy, you know, the research and the education and making people aware of the paranormal, which is the acronym for R.E.A.P.
Exactly.
Research, education, and awareness of paranormal. So, you know,
and if anybody's out there that's listening, I should be wearing it. Sadly, I'm not, because I've just got in. Go to the website. They have great merchandise, amazing beanie caps, which I have got and I will be wearing. I wear it with pride every time I pull it out. So just get over there on the website to these guys and get in touch with Bill on social media, and he'll sort you out for anything you need. So do that, because they're at conventions and they sell it. But obviously, when I was walking around, I was like a kid in a sweet shop. I want that, I want that, I want that. And then when I got home, I was like, oh my God, shit. I forgot to buy a beanie hat.
Yeah, the R.E.A.P. beanie just you know, Kris ordered them because they were really cool, and she did a great job designing them, and that was for the team. And then I think the first person who was like, boy, I really need a beanie, was Scott. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, you know, there's so many people now, we can't keep them, you know, we can't keep them in stock. And, you know, we started the hashtag R.E.A.P. Nation, and we have to go R.E.A.P. International, because, you know,
exactly. Now you've got me.
We got you. You're not the only one with R.E.A.P. overseas now. So,
okay. That's cool.
Yeah, there's some down in Australia. There's a couple more out in the UK, and
like
we'll have to have a R.E.A.P. You have to have a R.E.A.P. convention in the UK.
Exactly. And
everybody gets together, wears their beanie.
You've just come up with the perfect thing, Reap International.
Yeah. And we're just, we have a good time doing what we're doing, and we're humbled, and the outpouring of love that we get is awesome.
Yeah. The one thing that I want people that are listening tonight to know, and I had several conversations with you about this, is obviously your team ethos and the way you look at an investigation. Can you sort of give our listeners an idea of how when you're going into an investigation, what your team method is, how you approach it, what you do on an investigation? Because guys, listen, when you listen to this will change your view on things.
First of all, our team is absolutely. If you could have like a rock star team, I really think our team is a rock star team. We love our team. We have my wife Kris, who is has some mediumship abilities, even though she doesn't. That's not her claim to fame, but she goes and she does that, and she's very accurate at what she does. And then we have Amy, who has a lot of years. Amy Green, the Ice Queen from New Orleans, no longer, is a seasoned investigator. And then we have Heidi Fritz Martinez, who is probably one of the greatest researchers I have ever met, and humbled that we have our team. The things that she digs up before we go into whether it's a local, a residential case or, a historic case. I mean, she just digs and digs and digs. And then we have Stephen Teig. Stephen Teig, works for Homeland Security, and he's a badass. And, you met Stephen, and, we have a great time. And then Janet Kelly, another seasoned investigator. And then, we added, we have Michelle LeBaron, the Ghost Mag, who is phenomenal to work with, another seasoned investigator, great personality. And, ITC, everybody has a different strong suit. And then we have Chris Sanders. Chris Sanders joined us, and Mike Gallant, all who have seasoned investigators, and we all bring something different to the table. And when we go into a location, we go in with the attitude that I don't care if it's the allegedly most active haunted location ever. We go in there with the mindset that we're going to figure out what it's not, why it's not haunted, what's causing these things. And whatever's left is paranormal. So we go in with, we try to go in, clean mind. We do get the research. Some of our team members don't like to have the research be front loaded when we go in. Kris is like that. Mish is like that sometimes. And we go in and we do those things. And, we go in and, depending on the location, I mean, we go out in the community like we did here and I talked about earlier, and kind of get the local feel of the location, what's going on here. And we look for, we primarily like to find historically haunted locations that aren't as well known. And we like to help these places, preserve history through the paranormal. And, we've been doing it for, many, many years already. And we love it. And, now we're, Kris and I are, we're traveling the country, and the team meets up with us wherever we're at. And that's the other thing. Our team is so diverse. Our team is literally spread out across the country. So, when we converge, it's kind of like everybody, okay, we're going to come here. And, the people are flying from Nevada and New Orleans and New York and Massachusetts and, Maine, and we're all Pennsylvania, and we're all converging on a location. And, we set up our war room, and we do what we do. We go out, we pound the streets, we get information, talk to the locals. Why is it, we did one place down in Ohio. We did Bel Air, Ohio, at the Bel Air house. We ordered a pizza, and the pizza delivery guy wouldn't even come up on the porch.
I'm hoping Kerry's still listening, our producer. And was last night when Penny was talking, was that the same location?
It was the Bel Air house she was talking about.
Is that the same location you were talking about, Bill?
Bel Air house, yes.
Yeah.
This ties in. See, we tie things in on Parables Network. We tie in shows. Like last night they were talking about it. We're talking about it tonight. But no, But one thing I love about what you guys do, Bill, is it's not just you're not just in there for one night. You're not there. You just go in one night and then you're away.
Oh no!
Like you say, you're pounding the streets. You're talking to locals. You're doing the research. You're doing the investigation, and then basically you're doing further on, and then you move on to your next. So it's not just like a one night.
No, we're usually there. I mean, the minimum that we're usually there is on any time is probably 2 nights at a minimum. You know, we've stayed in locations for 7 to 10 days to try. You know, yeah, you know, and people go, oh, the paranormal is so glamorous and so when you run 8 IR cameras, for 10 days, for 24 hours a day. It really is going through all that footage.
Oh. Right. Yeah. So I just knew his call went, so he went quiet. So I was like, oh my God, as he cut off. So, what other type of equipment do you use, Bill?
We use anything and everything depending on the location. Anything from the old school stuff. You know, baby powder and candles and bells and compasses, dowsing rods, to some more high-tech stuff like the spirit boxes. And, you know, we do have a set of electric light dowsing rods that we use a lot now, which are pretty cool. They're neon light up, you know, for those dark locations so everybody can kind of see what the responses are. You know, EMF detectors, there's some stuff that, you know, we have built that we use, you know, different ITC communications and things like that. You know, your EMF detectors, your Mel meters, your ovuluses, it depends. I mean, we'll throw everything at it and try to see what sticks. I mean, we even use a lightning strike detector because, you know, everybody says EMF is, you know, an indicator of spirit, but you know, I've used Geiger counters measuring radiation. I use a lightning strike detector, which is, you know, lightning strike is the largest form of static electricity we'll ever have. What's that we don't have? It's not a static charge that says there's a, you know, a spirit present. We don't know, but we use it in different locations. Use it very scientifically. We'll do controlled experiments with these things set up at each location. We try to go in with an experiment, a controlled experiment that we could try to replicate. And then we try to replicate it when we return there, and we'll replicate it in other areas to see, you know, to try to gather that data to make sure that this is what is occurring, because we need to have that replication. We need to have that controlled scientific experiment kind of. We're a pseudoscience, you know, and, you know, try to get the answers and try to get that credibility of what it is and what actually is spirit.
Because obviously,
I'm sorry, I disappeared a second, but something just came. Someone was knocking on my door, so I had to go up and find out it was a delivery. So I've got a parcel which I'll open up later. So,
oh, come on, Carl, open it now. Let's see what you got.
I know what it is. I know what it is. So it's not going to be a big surprise. It's a friend of mine from Arkansas. They've sent me some football goodies like a top, baseball, and a hat and stuff like that.
Oh, cool!
So yeah, go Razorbacks. So, so I know what it is because I knew it was turning up, but I was told it wasn't. It was going to be redelivered for tomorrow, but they've just knocked on the door. So
anyway, because obviously you have to like in the paranormal field. You have to obviously use certain type of equipment first. Obviously, EMFs and K2 meters to obviously a lot of people, because obviously a lot of electrical wiring could be in, and you've got like power lines and things like that.
Exactly.
So obviously that could affect, like, oh yeah, it's a ghost, but then obviously that's the good thing about obviously with all the equipment you use is you can rule out all these natural sources.
Well, not only that, it's what's really interesting, and like, you know, when we go back into research and go into researching things, we did the oldest wooden structure in North America back in November, the Fairfield House in Massachusetts, and no power, no electricity, none of that in the house. We were getting really high EMF levels in this one room, and it was kind of interesting. And we did a lot of takes in there, and we put a REM pod in there, and we put a periscope in there, and lightning strike, and all these different pieces of equipment. And we said, okay, we're going to try to figure out what's causing this in here. Is it a spirit? We were getting responses, intelligent responses. We moved it into another room, and we were getting better intelligent responses, but still real high EMF readings in that room. Now, in that room were several portraits from the 1700s, 1800s, early 1800s of the people who lived in that home. And like I said, she's the best. Did a lot of research. And the paints that they used at that time, that period of paint, actually gives off an EMF reading.
Wow.
So, debunked. Wasn't a spirit, it was the paint.
Wow. And they're probably, like you say, without the research, there'd be a lot of people that were getting those spikes. No, as you say, wooden structure, oldest wooden structure in America, no electricity, etc. They would then have jumped to the conclusion they were getting the spikes. But without the research, you can then say, well, no, actually, it's the paint. So the paint obviously has some sort of conductive material in it. So
yes,
to be able to produce it. So
lead. I mean, it was a lot of lead-based paint. And if there was things that happened in there that were paranormal, absolutely. But you have to look at everything. I'm amazed at how many teams go into a place and don't take baseline readings when they walk through. I mean, you have to. You need to know where the hot spots are. You need to know, look into where panel boxes are, and axle cable crossovers and things like that, so that you could rule those areas out when you're doing your investigation.
Because I've done investigations over in the UK, and I've been invited on investigations where basically the team will, when they first turn up, instead of going around doing the baseline readings and, like you say, seeing where the hot spots are, seeing what potentially feedback you're going to have on equipment, the false positives, they'll just have a cup of coffee and they'll sit down and wait for the guest to turn up. So my philosophy, and I know it's your philosophy, is you've got to do your baseline readings because you've got to know exactly what you're going into. But it also, you've got the benefit, you've got a researcher who's basically then put a connection into paint on paintings of that time that can conduct EMF or can whatever. And that then basically excludes the false positive you were getting with the high EMF.
Correct. And part of the paranormal, paranormal means not normal.
Yeah.
So if we could debunk everything and say, okay, we step on this board and that door opens. Okay, that's debunked. Okay, but now there's, an apparition that appeared and you caught a photograph of it. How could you not? You can't, and we're unable to debunk it, then okay, then it's paranormal because we can't not explain what it is through science.
No, exactly. I agree completely. It's as if you have to disclude and forget about anything that's potentially normal reaction or potential or possible reactions that can be naturally explained, and whatever you're left, that small percentage, if you capture something, that is paranormal.
Exactly. Like we did a specific, and I'm going to go back to the Bel Air house, where Jeff Conical, our good friend Jeff and Scott, developed a piece of equipment and sent it with Michelle LeBaron because we were doing a seance there. All right, we were going to go old school. There was the house had ties to the spiritualist movement, so we wanted to replicate as one of the experiments. So he created a piece of equipment that there was a dome on the front of that sat in the center of the table, and then behind each of the girls who were performing the seance was a different colored light. So if they were saying, "Oh, I'm sensing a spirit," it's going to light up. And it blew us away how that worked.
Right.
And it was different way, different things. And, those guys are amazing with the stuff that they come up with.
Exactly. I would just put a shout out. We're just trying to finalise when Scott's and Jeff's schedules work for ours to be able to do them. We will have them on the show. But Jeff, and I'll message him in a sec just to say we gave him a bit of love on the air, because he'll love that. I
love you, Jeff.
Yeah, we love you, Jeff. And we'll post that as well on
we love you too, Scott.
Yeah. No. We don't love Scott. But no, what the ideas that Jeff comes up with the equipment. I sat there in Salem again and I was talking to Jeff. We were sat down in reception, and it was like, I think 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and me and him were just going over equipment, because I'm a complete tech geek. And some of the stuff that he's coming up with, like the robots, or the most amazing SLS setup I've ever seen.
Fit in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
But we were talking about, sitting down and just, the whole vibe of exchanging ideas and things like that. We were supposed to go to dinner with you guys.
Yes.
Thursday night. We ended up going to a different. We ended up going to a different restaurant, I think, didn't we?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
And it was because Jeff and I sat down and started chit-chatting, and it was like 2 hours later, and we were like, "Oh shit, we got to go." And it was all about different theories, and we were doing a lot of sound work and EVPs and things like that. And that's what this is all about. You need to reach out to people like yourself, Carl, and talk about the tech side of things, and talk to the Scotts and the Jeffs of the world, and the Johnny Zappases, and Mark Avrilla, and they have such a great wealth of knowledge, and you could sit there and you could brainstorm different things and different ways of doing things. I mean, my stupid feather in a jar blew Jeff away that day. He's like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, I took a piece of cotton thread, took a mason jar, and suspended a feather in a jar and sealed it so that I could use it to try to communicate and take out all the variables of the environment. So there's no vibration, there's no wind, there's none of this, to be able to use it to be variable, and no batteries, to try to get an answer from things. And I mean, it's just those types of things. When you sit with these guys and you go over different things, that there's so much knowledge, so many things you could learn, so many different ways to use equipment. It's amazing.
Oh yeah. And like you said, sitting talking to yourself and talking to Jeff and Scott and Mark and everybody else that was there, and I just sat there. I was like, I didn't want to say anything, because I was listening and taking it all. I was like a sponge, just taking the information in, and talking to Jeff on numerous occasions since then, and while we were there, how these ideas come into that gentleman's head, it's just crazy.
It is. And the way he develops, and the one thing I love about the way he does things is he'll take a scenario. Like he took that seance and was like, "Oh, we're going to be able to use this and do it this way, and this is the way we'll set it up, and this is the way it'll work. Let's see if it works." And damn it, if it didn't work. And I mean, like this, it just the concept and the ideas. I mean, he really is a genius when it comes to developing these things, and the robots, and that SLS, handheld SLS. And I had a problem with my SLS that I did not get from Jeff, and he's like, "I'll fix it." And he's able to remote in from the West Coast to the East Coast and fix it. And and I'm like, "Hey, this is awesome." And just the knowledge that you could get from these people, and we just have to, just ask the questions. And
I think that's the big key. People talk about power unity in this field, but I think at the end of the day is become friends, talk to people, and you will get this information. People will openly give that. You don't have to go in with an underlying thing. Just go and have a chat with people. Just go and become friends, like me and yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
All that sort of stuff. It's just like you just get to know people, and then things will like progress, and we'll talk, and we'll express different ideas. And you go, "I never thought about doing it that way." Same like you saying when you were talking to Jeff and Scott and everything. It's just you have conversations. You don't have to go in and go, well, this, that, and the other, and all clinical. Forget that. It's become
paranormal. And I'll give a selfless plug for our radio show, our podcast that Kris and I do. We call it paranormal collaboration, and that's what it is. I mean, it's you get together with people, and it's different ideas and chit chat about different concepts and ways to do things. That's what we have to do in this. I mean, para-unity. Will we ever have power unity? No, because people have egos. Too many people have egos in this field. And, but if you put your ego aside and you get to know people like yourself and Scott and Jeff and Mark and Steven and all these people, you could sit down and chat with them and you're going to learn so much. Just listen.
Yeah.
And they're approachable.
Yeah.
Don't
go in blinkered. Don't go in thinking, well, I'm this team, I'm that team. I want to know what you're doing, but just go in like you're going into it, like making new friends for the first time. Forget the industry. Go and make friends because you have the same interests, you have the same sort of sense of humour, same outlook on things, and have a laugh with these people. Because at the end of the day, this industry is hard work, and this industry is a lot of long hours of sitting with not a lot happening. So you've got, for the times that you can, have a laugh, have a good time with people. That's the key.
You have to have that time where you could have a good time and laugh and be yourself. But when it's game time, they are the most serious bunch of people you could ever want to be around.
Absolutely.
But you need to be able to be yourselves and have a good time doing what you're doing, because like you said, it does get pretty damn boring sometimes.
Oh yeah. I've sat in cold cellars, basements or forts or castles for hours upon hours, basically asking the same questions and doing the same thing. And you just think, why am I doing that? And then you just get that one little spark, one little poof, and you go, that's the reason, and that's what brings me back every single time.
And we need to remember when we're communicating with spirit that they were people once too. So treat them with that respect. And I'll just we did the Shanley Hotel 2 weeks ago. Shanley Hotel in New York.
I watched the lives on that.
And we had some, interesting, Janet Kelly and I were working with one group, and, when we bring a group of people in, and we're the host team at these locations and raising the money for these locations, we let them use our equipment, and, we definitely get the people interactive, and Kris does a great job, and Amy and everyone, Steven, everybody talks to these people and explains to them how the equipment works and what we're doing. And, we break off into groups, and, so when we break off in these groups with people, we're making them do the work, letting them have the experience and, take them from sitting on the couch and watching it on TV to actually it becoming something real for them. And, they'll use our SLS camera, they'll use our equipment and, things that aren't, cheap,
And that's the thing with me. When I first got into it and I started going on public events, I saw all these people coming in with these showcases, and they put this equipment out, and I would go over and went, "What's that?" And they go, and I went, "Can I use it?" And they went, "No, you can't touch that." And I'm like, "What?
How are you going to learn?"
Exactly. So my philosophy, and people are amazed when I go on doing investigations. I'll just put my equipment out, and I'm like, just as long as it's back up in the case. You use it, I'll tell you how to use it, I'll tell you the false positives, I will tell you anything you go and use it, you go and knock it out, as long as you don't damage it, nick it, or steal it.
Right.
I'm happy for you. And that's always been my fault, because I can remember the first time I went on an investigation and these guys came in with the shiny cases. They put all the equipment out. They did the whole opening spiel and all this. We went in the investigation and they left all the equipment behind. They went in and did nothing. But they had all these shiny cases. I'm like, so why aren't you bringing any equipment with? No. We'll explain that later. So then I go down and have a look. I start picking these equipment up and looking at it and thinking, okay, what's this? And they take it off your hand, put it back in the case. Oh, no. We'll tell you about that later. But they never did. And you weren't allowed to use it. I'm like, well, why bring it?
So why bring it?
Exactly. I can bring a transit full of my equipment. Anybody can use it on any investigation. You knock yourself out. There's batteries, there's everything. If you want to know how to use it, if you don't know how to use it, I will give you a tutorial. You go and use it. You go and find your bit of evidence, your spark that will keep you going on and on and on.
But, and that's a great way to do this. We need to, people want to get involved in the paranormal. We want answers. I mean, there are two types of people in the paranormal world. There's your paranormal investigators, and then there's your ghost hunters. Yeah. They're out there just for the thrill of the weekend. Oh, I went to this crazy place and, had an experience, and that's what they're there for. But there's also the underlying thing, which I love when it happens, is people come there because they want to connect with someone that had passed for them. And when you have those little moments, like we were in Essex, Maryland, at the Essex Museum there, which they recreated the town in the downstairs of it, and they have several different artifacts, big into the veterans and things like that. There was a uniform there from World War II, gentleman's uniform, and his daughter was in the room.
Wow. And
she had a very personal experience happening to her.
That was her dad's uniform?
Yes.
Wow.
And that was her dad's uniform. And it was just amazing when something like that comes through, where, got them involved, where ask a question where only your dad would know the answer to. Like her nickname, what he called her, and then have it come across in an EVP or in a session or whatever is amazing stuff. And that's people want that experience. They want that personal experience. Like Janet Kelly and I were at the Shanley Hotel, and Janet's big on, she's great with communication, and she did the rap on the floor and said, can you tap back? And we got a knock. We heard a knock, and she did it again, and we got a knock. And then she went and did the finish it.
Yeah.
And across the EVP, it went, fuck you. And I'm like, that's awesome. And she's like, well, that wasn't very nice. I'm like, he was rapping. You got the rap, and you had to push it.
Yeah. They're not.
Exactly. There's still people.
Yeah.
But it was, it was a great EVP. And a great experience, and it was just like people who were there got a big chuckle out of it. But it's like, you need to remember that they are spirit. They were people at one time. Treat them with respect.
Exactly. And that, I think, I'm really happy about has happened. 10 years ago, there was a lot of provoking going on. There was a lot of disrespect going on due to TV.
Yes.
And now that's gone, because people are now being more respectful. People are treating these, whatever they're communicating with, whether it's a spirit, whatever, but they are treating it like it's a human being that's actually physically in front of them. And so there's the respect element. I think that is where we need to be. That's where we need to stay. We need to forget about the past, about provoking and everything like that.
Absolutely. And they're getting better responses, and they're getting better evidence now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because they're treating them with respect.
Yeah.
They're getting to know them. They're learning, and, you could go back to different places, and, there are spirits there, and the more you go back, and we talked about in the beginning of the show, is, we don't just spend one night there, we'll spend several times, and sometimes we go back multiple times, and those spirits that are there will get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. and you have that personal connection.
Yeah.
And the respect, and they're not circus animals, and they're human beings, and humor, and sometimes in asking off the wall questions gets you better responses. What's your favorite ice cream? Oh,
absolutely.
Silly,
yeah.
Silly question.
The thing that I've seen over the years is people go in and say, when they try to do EVPs or they try to get responses and stuff like that, they go to their playbook from the TV. So it's like
my favorite question is, "Are you dead?"
Yeah. You beat me to it, but because I was going to say, are you there? Not once for yes, twice for no. So if they're not once, they mean they're there, or they're not twice, they're not there.
Right.
So who's knocking?
Or people who use dowsing rods, and I'll watch them use dowsing rods, and they'll say, "If you're here, cross the rods," and the rods will cross. Okay, now uncross them. And I ask you another question. Why? Do you know how much energy it took for them to cross those rods? Yeah. Now it's like, oh, here, uncross them so I can ask you another question. No, just uncross the rods.
Yeah. It's the same as when you make noise or make a bang or throw something or push somebody or do something like that. And then it happens and you get that. And then all of a sudden, somebody will go follow up with another question. Do it again. Really? These guys are... Really, it's taken that amount of energy to do that, and you want them to just do it again?
Yeah. That cracks me up. Yeah. We did some filming with someone a while back, a couple years ago, and we were getting great evidence. And the guy comes back, and he was doing a documentary, and he goes, "Can you get them to do that again?" I'm like, "No, no, you can't."
If it was only that easy.
No. You want to say hi to Amy and Chris, Carl?
Hi, Amy. Hi, Chris.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
Miss you guys. You can run off now.
Yeah, he said you could run off now. Oh, they said they're renaming Salem Con to Carl Con this year.
I think that's got a good... We can have T-shirts, hats, the whole lot.
With your picture on it.
No, not my picture. I just think we need the extended Carl, like everybody that I met in Salem. Instead of just saying, "Hi, Carl," it was, "Carl."
It's Carl.
I think I blame llamas with hats.
Llamas with hats, yes.
Yeah, anybody that doesn't know what it is and don't realise what's going on when people emphasise how you say name, just go and watch on YouTube Llama with Hats, and I'm guaranteed I'll get messages within the next 20 minutes of people just putting Carl. So yeah, but no. This is what I enjoy about the field. It's like, when you chat to people, it's like it's not like I don't do interviews. Me and Sam don't do interviews like, "So tell me about your worst experience, your favourite location, blah blah." We don't do that. It's a chat between friends.
It's awesome. I'm loving this. A little too chatty, but
I hope you, Sam.
Sam, once Sam gets going, you won't shut her up.
Wake up, Sam.
Talking enough, I'll tell you what. I'm going to put Sam on the spot now because I'm going to need to go to the loo. So, Sam, over to you while and then I'll just come back in a second.
Well, thank you for not taking us to the loo with you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You don't want to see that.
So, do you just? So, obviously, see, I can't talk tight now. So obviously, with you, said earlier, I know that you do go across different states. Is there any particular location you stick to? Like, do you stick to hospitals or?
Not really. We'll go anywhere. I mean, Chris and I are both, and Stephen have like a law enforcement background as our real jobs, and ex-military and law enforcement, like those kind of we like forts and we like the old penitentiaries and things like that. But primarily we just like history, and we like looking for those hidden gems. that have so much with them, like Greystone Manor. I can't wait to get out there. They had so much history, in not only in the area, but in the horse racing and things like that, and was a big part of the history of the town. Or Sister's Tea House, where we're going down there in Missouri, the place was really the hub of the town, and the town was kind of built around it. And there was so much happened at that place, at the hotel, that it was a hotel at that time before it became the tea house. And there's just so much happened there, and we like finding those historical places where, it's where different things connected across the country actually flourished out of that location. And it's great to try to connect the dots as you travel. But I mean, we love anything and everything. I mean, like the whole Bigfoot thing here, that we ended up looking for Bigfoot while we were here, was an accident. We kept hearing about the ghost in the trees, and that's what I heard about. So in asking the locals, what's this ghost in the trees? And they're like, Grassman, Sasquatch. I'm like, really? I'm thinking ghost. And it was something totally different. And, so it's live life. That's all we do. Live that paranormal life, be open-minded, and just grasp all the knowledge that you can and experience everything. Don't get wrapped up into one type of location over another. If I had to pick a spot that I really, really enjoy and, want to go back to, Hinsdale House in New York. Because the reason being is that house schooled me. I've been doing this a lot of years. We get complacent in what we do. And that house schooled me. And if you go back on my on the R.E.A.P investigations page and look at the video from there, you'll understand what it is. I'm not going to go into the story. But, Dan Cleese, who's a very good friend of mine, and we became very good friends over the years, tells the story of me getting schooled at that place. And, it happens. We become complacent. Don't become complacent. We end up doing the same type of places over and over again. It's like, okay, it's the same thing. This is what's going to happen. And, we can't get like that because every location is different.
I totally agree with that.
And some experiences, somebody may post a video and say, oh, in this corner, this is where the gray-haired lady appears. And so where does everybody go? They all focus on that corner. There's a whole rest of the house. Don't focus on that. A lot of times, spirit interaction is very personal. That was their experience. Doesn't mean it's going to be your experience.
Yeah. And the other thing is, the experience that you might have isn't just going to happen on the investigation itself. It could be happen on the setup. It could be happening when you arrive.
Correct. I mean, Fairy Plantation, which we love, the Fairy Plantation, and we'll be there in November, down in Virginia Beach, Virginia. The place is very military. Okay, it was. A lot of ties to the Declaration of Independence allegedly was actually penned at that location. It was very interesting history with shipyards and everything in the development of the country. But, Kris has an experience now, the several times we've been there, of a woman tapping on the window and when we're coming up the walkway. And, I didn't see it, didn't hear it, but that Kris heard it. And some of the other women that were with her heard it. So it was their experience, not mine.
Yeah, exactly. I think Sam's got a question from the chat room as well. We're coming to the end of the interview. This hour flies past. But I want to get as much interaction from the chat room and everything in. So, Sam, what was the question?
We have a question from Paul for you. Bill, it says, what other countries would you like to road trip for your investigations?
I want to go to Ireland, which we're planning a trip there for 2020. I got to get to the UK.
Yeah, you do.
There is so much in the UK that I would love to see, and Australia. Those are the three countries I would like to. If I was going to go abroad, those were the three places I would like to go to: Australia, the UK, and Ireland. which is part of the UK in parts.
Yeah, exactly. But it's quite funny. It's you this is the thing that I find quite fascinating when you talk to people and you talk to people about the America. It's like they want to come to the UK and the UK want to go to America.
Well, you know why? Because it's different. I'll tell you what. I speak with a lot of investigators, from the UK, and actually, in August I'll be hooking up with some from Ireland, R.E.A.P team out of Ireland in New York in August when I'm coming back up through there. They're going to actually be in the state of New York. But I talk to them because there's so much different techniques and different things. I mean, it's a great way to learn.
Absolutely. Sorry, Bill. Suddenly the chat room has just exploded. Sam's got another question, and then we seriously have to wrap this up because if not, our station manager and boss, Kerry, will start shouting at us. So, Sam, go for
it. Tell him to take a chill pill.
So this is a question from Neen. She says, "Who would you?"
Who would I love to investigate with?
Yeah.
Wow, I've never been asked that question. I've investigated with so many great people, Brian Cano and Johnny Zaffis and Grant Wilson. And, I want to investigate with MJ and Carl. That's what I want to do. I want to investigate with MJ and Carl.
Yeah, I like that. And when you do eventually come to the UK, we'll definitely get that sorted.
I want to do that. I mean, I just love the way that they do things. I mean, there's so many brilliant people out there, and everybody goes, "Oh, you got to go in with." Who asked that question, Sam?
Neen.
I want to investigate with them.
There you go. So the people in the chat room, Nemu who asked the question, Bill wants to, instead of anybody in the world, he wants to investigate with you guys. So that's good. We'll get that sorted when they're in the UK, if you're in the UK.
Neen lives in Vegas.
There you go. So
I'll be in Nevada. In September, October.
And I believe...
So make that happen. Message me. We'll investigate.
There you go. Well, I believe Sam is one of the ones that we're meeting up when we're in Vegas.
Yeah.
Because you're the tour guide. You're organising it. I'm just turning up to gamble and drink.
Now, when are you going to be in Vegas?
1st to the 10th of October.
Of October?
Mm-hmm.
There's a good chance we will be in the Vegas area at that time because we leave Arizona on the 28th.
Well, of
September.
Pack up the Winnebago. Get yourself over to Vegas, and we'll hang out and we'll carry on the amazing chats that we had in Salem and carry them on, and we'll plan stuff and we'll invest.
I know where we're going. I know one of the locations we're going to be is about 4 hours from Vegas. So
that's easily done. I'm going to be hiring it. I'm going to be hiring a car because I have to do a certain trip that I have to do while Sam's going off and doing what she's doing. I'm going to be doing something. So we will plan this offline and make sure.
Absolutely.
We will do that.
I get to see Carl again.
Exactly before next year anyway. So We'll do that. We'll make sure that happens. Sam, I think we need to wrap this up because obviously we're over the hour. And I go Sam, and then I'll finish my bit off in a second.
Obviously, before we say our goodbyes, guys, as usual, thank you everybody for talking in the chat room, for your questions, and obviously, if you want to listen to any of the shows on the Parasearch Radio, you can just click, if you are on the Spreaker app, you can just click on the Parasearch Radio name, and it shall come up with all the shows. You can find us on YouTube at Parasearch Radio, also find us on Facebook at us Parasearch Radio. It's a good night from Carl.
Good, and I would just like personally thank Bill and obviously the other people that would appeared in the background for joining us. Bill, it's always a pleasure. I look forward to chatting to you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure, and we'll get you back on soon.
All right. Have a great evening.
And you.
And it's a good night for me, guys.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.